Okay. So we have record of this in case those that can participate. So I'm just gonna end the poll. I can sympathize with with those results. I wasn't following actually with the COP26. I kind of stopped paying, not that I didn't pay attention, not following every day. The last time I heard about COP, it was, they were mentioning 2030 as the year, and now it's 2050, and it's just, yeah, I don't want to. It's so frustrating. So it's like, nope, bye. So yeah, so welcome to our, we're hoping to make it a monthly SEEDS chapter check-in meeting. This time it's focused on those certain SEEDS chapters that have kindly agreed to participate as panelists and share some things that they've been doing, where have they been successful, and what have been those learning experiences. And we hope that this is helpful for the rest of the SEEDS network, but especially for those new chapters. Before I introduce our panelists, I do want to mention a couple of opportunities that are coming up and that we were notified directly. So that's why we're sharing it with you guys. One of them is from our friends at the University of Colorado Boulder. They have what's called a Fired Up program. It is for those that are incoming graduate students. They can be master's or PhD, but in their ecology and evolutionary biology department. But it's a 4-week field intensive program. It is fully funded, and yeah, it has a lot of perks, but there's the link, and I'll share that perhaps on the chat. The other opportunity, it's called Home Range. They provide this winter field skills. So if you're interested in that and you'd like to spend some time in the rural Washington State area, you can certainly look into that. The deadline to apply is December 31st, and then the actual courses start. They're from the 5th to the 9th, so 5 days, and they have the course itinerary and everything online. So I want to introduce our panelist, Maria. Maria is here. Hi, Maria. From Florida State. Karen. Hi, Karen. From the University of California, Riverside. Fabiola, I don't see her online. Friend, you can see anybody that is on.
I can. Yeah.
The waiting room. Okay, just in case. Fabiola from the University of Puerto Rico at Bayamón.
Actually, Sandra, can you make me a co-host just in case? Because I see I'm not listed as a co-host. Although even though I should be signed in as an administrator.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
Okay, and Magdalene Keller. Magdalene is here from Lenoir Rhyne University. I actually had to look it up. I want to pronunciate it correctly. So, I mean, I'm gonna let's start with Florida State. Maria, do you want to talk a little bit about what you guys have been doing? I took these. Thank you for sharing pictures with me, and I placed a couple of these here. I see that you made the SEEDS cleanup and an enrollment fair, and it was fairly recently, like during the pandemic, because I see the mask. So yes, please tell us what have you been planning? What's been the thought process around the activities, and what have you learned?
Yeah, so most of what we've been able to do has been this year because last year was kind of where we took over from a group of graduating seniors, and we couldn't really do much with COVID going on. So last year we had a ton of guest speakers come in. We had just a bunch of graduate students from our school, and they would talk about their experiences applying to graduate school or how they got to where they are. And a bunch of different things. And those meetings were really cool. And it was super cool to like get so many different experiences from people. But I think it was a little bit much to only be doing that all the time. And this semester, we kind of went more into the social side of things because that's what people were really looking for. So for our involvement fair, we had got together a few days beforehand and wanted to try and give a good idea of what seeds really is for us. So we made the poster board and decorated it with animals and stuff because, of course, ecology. And that was really fun. But we also decided to create little planters with seeds in them, and we passed those out so people would be interested and come up to our booth. And then we ended up getting quite a few people to sign up for us. And for our cleanup, we had wanted to do something for the International Coastal Cleanup. And we're not really at a coast, but there are lakes by us. So we went to a lake and brought a bunch of trash bags and gloves and just picked up as much as we could. And we ended up getting like 6 bags, and there were still tons more trash by the time we had to leave. And people really enjoyed that. So it was a lot of fun. And we're definitely going to do that in the future. But from what we've done so far, people definitely enjoy the activities or just anything to get outside. And we've also done some other events like Kahoots. So that gets people competitive, but we also did that so that we were talking about the native plants and animals in Florida. And that was a good way for people to learn quite a bit while still having fun with it. So
use like the game Kahoot, is it like a board game?
It's actually like online. So you go in and make questions for it and have everybody answer them with their phones.
Okay. Yeah. And you mentioned like people are just looking to be outside. So would you define these activities as successful?
Yeah, definitely. We had the Seeds Cleanup was the first event that we had done outside of any meeting, and we still had a few people show up. And from what we've talked about with the members, they're definitely really interested in just going out on hikes or walking in nature or birding. We also recently had a kayaking trip that was pretty fun. And they just generally enjoy being out there. Plus, it's nice if we have a guide who can talk about the nature in that area too.
I added that there. Yeah, these were the couple of those. Yeah, I saw the kayaking down here and the terrarium mesocosm trip. Can you explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah, so for that, we had talked about creating a terrarium, so a closed ecosystem with plants, and ideally there would have been some bugs or snails in there too. We weren't able to find any, but basically the Thursday before that day, or that Sunday, we had talked about how to build a terrarium. So we went through basically all the details on how to set that up and what's the importance of it. So like, why does a closed ecosystem work, or can it be open and still work the same way? So that was like informational. And then the second day was kind of like a social where we go out and then we collect the materials from it. And we have a lake called the Res with FSU. So we went there and just collected materials.
Awesome. Yeah, I never heard about it, but yeah, I can see why, yeah, everybody's happy outdoors. Thanks, Maria.
Of course.
Let's see, coming up. Ooh, UC Riverside. So Karen, I added a few of the pictures and I see you been doing like also outdoorsy things and some like tabling and flyers. Please tell me what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so we're definitely working on involving more humans in our chapter because we reinstated our club officially this past February. So we started in the pandemic, and it was like the very beginning. So it was just the officers that were involved. And so we've been really research focused because that was the most feasible thing to do online virtually. So we reinstated this research project that one of the biology courses began like years ago. And the picture on the far left is a picture of us sampling that specific hill site on our campus. And so, yeah, we've been doing a lot of grant writing and data collection and statistical modeling for that specific project this whole year, basically virtually up to this point. And so we actually got a grant for that project. And we've been presenting posters at ESA and at our campus research symposium. And so it has definitely been a struggle to like find all the students interested in ecology now that we're finally in person. And yeah, since we've been so like research heavy and grant writing, like that's not very dynamic in terms of advertising to interested students. So actually this coming Saturday, that flyer on the right is our first field trip because the UC system has a reserve system in every campus, like 3 or 4 reserves. So we're going to be getting a tour from the director of that specific reserve. And we've gotten the most interest from other students who have signed up because I think people want to go outside and go hiking, like you said.
Yeah, and before like the winter starts too, I imagine it's like even in California, I mean, you can feel the difference. But so that's the James San Jacinto field trip?
Yeah, that's this Saturday.
Oof, yes.
Yeah, and Advis is actually here. He's also from my chapter if you want to add anything.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's our research site that
we
got a grant for.
So that has to do with like that picture of the sampling in that field.
Yeah, those plots that we're raking treatments.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the project is looking at mechanisms of invasion by exotic grasses and how that affects the native forbs in the ecosystem around UCR. And it's convenient because the field site is on the campus, so students can easily access it. We've also, this quarter, we've hosted, and also last year, we've had R Night workshops to teach students R programming. That last year it was virtual, and then this year we've actually done it in person. And they're very helpful, but also we've struggled to find students who are interested in attending the workshops. So that's one of our challenges.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we went through the same problem of like doing too many of them. And like after the first one, the attendance was pretty much just the officers after that.
You mean the R nights?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only events we've had thus far.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about it because I saw it on your Instagram page. I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why, and we can get back to that and on the struggles, and it's like the question of like why do you think it's so difficult to not get only people interested, but if it's something that is a series, right? It's not like a one-time thing. If it's like consistent and recurring, like how do we keep them engaged, right? We don't lose participation. So that's, and we'll discuss more and we'll do a little bit of brainstorming, but I do want to go through the rest of the universities, and they can talk a little bit about what they do. Fabiola, I think we had a little hiccup there. I don't know why. I sent it yesterday thinking this meeting was yesterday, and it's like, no, and now it's like the link wasn't working, but hey, we're here, we're live.
Yeah.
This
Sorry
podcast,
for
University of Puerto Rico at Bayamon. But first, please tell us, what does LIFE stand for? It's an acronym, right?
leading initiative for future ecologists.
Leading Initiative for Future Ecology is awesome. Thanks. And I added like this picture, the screenshot of your Instagram page. And
Yeah, I was on the presentation. Thank you for that, for doing
Yeah.
this.
yeah, and I just saw like you have like there's a lot of activities, and there's like starting from left to right, it's like from movie night to like thrift store, t-shirt,
Yeah.
and even like I guess grad school, or what are my next steps after graduation conversation. So please share these events, which ones have been like super successful, like how do you think you got to that point? Just share away.
Okay, no problem. So nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Fabiola. I'm from the University of Puerto Rico. I also have here members of my directive, Paola and Lorraine. So thank you guys for being here. As for the focus that I tried, right, to being the president this year of the chapter in the university, was to bring to the members a lot of opportunities to go out there, because right now here, well, in Puerto Rico, we don't have all the accessibility that you guys have over there in the States. So we have our limitations. So my focus is like searching and giving the members opportunities that they're kind of difficult to get. Not everybody search for them. So that's one of my focus are the graduate programs. One of the things that we do was a post-bac meeting. And here in Puerto Rico, that's something that the university doesn't talk about. So I think it's one of the most successful activities we have gone in this semester. As for the trips thing, I think that is something I'm very excited for this semester, because one of the problems that I encountered when I started this semester was that there was a lot of teachers about the last past association. So we're like 43 teachers. So why do I have to make new ones this semester? Like, let's get money out of that. So that's how this thrifting idea got into it. But the problem with this is right now, right here, the guidelines that we're having at the university, we cannot have outside activities. We're going fully online. So we are restricted with that. So the sales for the getting money and stuff, we're limited in this in that area. But I'm still trying to see how the next semester we can see how we can make this better. And another things that I had in mind was like the self-care tips, like mental health idea for all the members. We're all students, we have passed through a lot of stress. So why not, like, we're focused on ecology, right? But we're humans, we're animals, and we need to like diverse ourselves and get to know what we really are. And besides that, also we did like a movie night, but with the movie night, it was a little bit chaotic because here in Puerto Rico, since 2 weeks ago, we are having like a riot at the universities. So it's been a little bit crazy planning to doing activities and that the members are participating. So in that part, I think the most successful thing of this semester is being very active online, sharing posts, doing polls on the Instagram stories is the most active way that the members are participating right now here. Because also we have tried to bring like beach cleaning activities, but when it comes to the transportation area, that here Bayamon is in the north part of Puerto Rico, and then the beach cleaning is in the south. So if transportation is a problem for the members. So we're trying to see how we can get that type of activity next semester for them, or maybe looking here for the north part of Puerto Rico. But yeah, I don't know if you have any more questions about that.
No. That's great. Just listening to the diversity and how you've been also diversifying the types of activities that everyone's been doing, but you've had to pivot, right? Due to different, reasons and the logistics and the accessibility. So, that's great.
Thank you.
Of course. And I wonder if there's someone from Linois, Rhine here. No. Well, I just went in and I also stole a couple of pictures from their Instagram page, and I thought it was really cute and smart how you take like Halloween and the fall as an opportunity to make it relevant to ecology. So I thought this was very smart. So like just questions, but I'm going to open the forum for other questions, but let's see. What do you think has been, if you had to pick, like, let's say top 3, what do you think are the top 3 most successful activities or events that your chapter has had? Like, are they usually like online, or let's say it's better in person? And if so, what type of activities are like?
I can say that in my case right now, well, this semester is going all online, so I miss the social interaction with the members, because right now, trying to give them volunteer experience and stuff is getting difficult because I don't have that one-on-one talk with them. So I cannot like, what can I say, like push them to participate, because they are not like, I can see that the members right now are not kind of motivated with the situation that is the pandemic, the university, the riot here in Puerto Rico. So it's a little bit chaotic, and that's my perspective, right?
Thanks, Fabiola. Eric, you have your hand raised.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric John Lebron Alvarez. I'm currently from the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez. I'm also the vice president of the Louis chapter, of the SETS chapter here in Mayagüez. And I would like to, just give a little preview of what things we find that were most successful. This past week, we actually had our first field trip. Thankfully, we were super excited to do it. We went to Arecibo, which is like in the north coast of Puerto Rico, and it was regarding the conservation program of the Puerto Rican parrot. And I think, at least in our country, like in Puerto Rico, the social activities, or like the group activities, have been what people want the more. We already had like 1.5 years of online, activities, of online conferences and all that. And I think people just want more hands-on experience, or, to actually live what they study. And I don't know, I just think, like, overall, in the whole 4 months I've been running as vice president, the activity of this past Saturday was super successful. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun, and I'm just happy how it went. And hopefully, I'm just trying to plan more activities where with my directive, hopefully to more places around around Puerto Rico, whether it be rivers, beaches, all sorts of places. And yeah. Now, regarding the things that I think they haven't been as successful, I think the approach that we're taking towards trying to persuade people into ecology or environmental sciences has been really challenging. At the moment, our department is really big, and that's a good thing. But there is a lot of other associations that are really like keeping us in the shadow, and we're just trying to persuade other students from our department to try to pitch in, try to be more active in our chapter. But as I said, this past Saturday, I saw a lot of movement, I saw a lot of activity, and thankfully, if everything goes well, we can start going strong from now on. And yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And how did you, right, because logistic wise, it can be complicated around transportation. How were you able to, get people to go there, right? From Mayagüez or to Arecibo?
Right. So as Fabiola said, we actually had restrictions towards social activities. In our campus, it was till mid-October. And we were actually a little bit scared on how we were going to approach the logistics for these social activities. But being that we're rather like a small association, the logistic was pretty easy. We actually sent a form to the whole chapter, indicating what was our plan and what we wanted to do. And people offered to go in groups, no more than 3 in a car or something. And a lot of the directive also pitched in to give rides, and we actually saw a lot of approval towards this idea. Of course, we were having the COVID restrictions in mind and all the logistics. So yeah, we actually just made like a caravan from Mayagüez towards Arecibo. The activity was like at 9 a.m. So we actually had to, get from Mayagüez, like we had to head out like at 5 a.m. to get there. Just because we had to take the north route, which is longer, but it was actually pretty smooth. And I think it ran better than we even thought. So I just hope things, can run as smoothly as this past activity.
Awesome. Thanks again, Eric. Karen and Maria, what do you think have been like those success stories, and what do you think has influenced or allowed those activities to be successful?
I think this is something that we really need help on right now, because I think our upcoming field trip has by far been like the most participation and most like interest we've seen in our club so far. But I think what we're struggling with is like having our club have an identity and differentiate from other clubs, like say environmental science or like other more social clubs, because like trying to find the balance between like actually preparing students and exposing them to research, but also forming a community and garnering interest in like what makes people inspired to start doing ecology in the first place. So I think this field trip has been good because we've invited faculty and graduate students. So like it's a more approachable way to talk to people actually in the field. And like I guess like going back to basics on like why the faculty even started in the first place by actually going into nature. But yeah, I guess that's like I totally agree with you, Eric, in the sense of like people want to go out and do things and have a community. But I guess that's my question, like how do you like make that balance between research, like kind of boring, like online stuff, and having a community of people.
Yeah, and I think Eric also mentioned like that kind of like a competition between the chapter, the club, and other clubs, and having and defining your identity. And that's, I can understand that because I'm an environmental scientist by training, but I'm in ESA, so there's a lot of things that overlap, but some people are very touchy about environmental science. One thing, ecology is different. And to be honest, I don't, if I was in college right now, I would just go, I wouldn't go by the title. I would go to like, what is the club actually doing? Do I see myself there? And is this like, I see like the activities are helpful for me. So I totally get like that, perhaps that competition with those other clubs. Do you think those are like also like bigger clubs, like more popular? Or because I know there's like some dynamics with hierarchy, like usually you have like the natural science department or faculty or college, and then they have these hierarchy, like if you're in biological sciences or you're like pre-med, you're up here, and then everything else is kind of like downwards. So I don't know if that's the same case with the clubs. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it also has to do with like the way our college is set up, because botany and plant biology is like a huge department, whereas like specifically EEOB, evolutionary biology, ecology is not as big, but entomology is bigger. So it's like, it's like trying to like by association meet people. But I know a lot of clubs are having trouble with like reinstating and like, yeah, I know the students want like a place to find, but it's hard to like advertise on social media to the people who already know about you. But like the people who don't know about you, it's kind of, I feel like we're struggling with that also with social media.
In our case, like Karen said, the clubs are very much tied to the departments, and the departments are an artifact of our institutional history. And the students' clubs, the other clubs are, I think, Eric, you were saying that some of the clubs that you're having to, compete with are kind of larger, but for us, actually, they're smaller or the same size. So you just have like students who are interested in this ecology and ecology adjacent fields, but we're just all split into like 6 different clubs at our university because of the departmental structure. And on the advertising topic, because a lot of students are still taking online classes, advertising with physical flyers is not very fruitful because a lot of people aren't on campus looking at physical flyers or posters. So that isn't really a good alternative to a lot of like the digital like advertising issues we're having.
I would agree. Like our situation, I think, is much more similar to Eric's, where we have like these bigger clubs and they're harder to compete with. But what we've been trying to do and have not yet reached out to do is collaborate with those groups, so do joint events. I think something on the weekend is usually the best way to do that because we don't have meetings on the weekends. We just have like the field trips or whatever else. So that's kind of in the plans for us in the future, but I don't know if the other groups at your schools would be willing to do that. And as far as virtual advertising goes, we kind of struggled a lot with that last year too. I think the best thing that we had was having professors in the departments that are relevant send out a message and say like, hey, this group is doing this, and you could join it. Obviously, you write up the message for them to send, but that was pretty helpful. And I think a lot of those groups, like, they might be separated like at your campus, but I think entomology or botany could be easily tied in with the things that you do within ecology. I don't know, I guess maybe not like the specific details on like how a plant lives and everything, but there's definitely certain projects that you could do that could tie in certain things. Like with the terrariums, I brought it over because I don't know if you can really see it, but that was the cool thing to do. And at least with that, you can talk about the ways that like a plant is required for an ecosystem and how it contributes to the oxygen and everything else within that environment.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and I was thinking, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Like, I know it exists, but I haven't thought about it. Like, I guess using professors as allies and other clubs too, like maybe doing something together. I know it sounds like, oh, they're my competition, but it only takes one person to say, actually, you're not my enemy. Why don't we join forces, right? And you never know. Try it out. Perhaps there's another like a little smaller club that would be willing to do that. And yes, Paula. Hey, sorry, Paula.
Don't worry, a lot of people use my name. For me, I'm in the same of Eric, the situation, the life chapter in UPR Bayamón, I think is the smallest one this semester or more, because right now we have like only 35 members and the last semester was 50. So with that is the little one, but with the thrifting idea that I bring this semester, I went to an event here in Puerto Rico and I connected with some local brands. So one of the ideas that I have for the next semester is try to do like, I'm trying to bring awareness of the fashion industry to the organization, like how fashion affects climate change, everything that we do. So that's how this thrifting idea came. And one of the things that I'm planning to do is to try to connect with the bigger association in Bayamón is the administrative department. They have the most students in the university. So I'm going to try for the next semester to do like a fashion but ecological way to make awareness and try to bring the Department of Administration, because if I can bring these brands, like that way I can mix together the biological effects that it has, but at the same time, the branding. So that is a way that also I'm trying to bring more members and people to know our organization. So I just wanted to share that different concepts and mindset that we can like bring together two different ideas to make something big.
Yeah, like it's like you're even thinking about bringing people from outside from like the scientific world, right? So bringing people from business or entrepreneurship or business administration, right?
Yeah, because my concept with that, when I met this brands, like I went straight to them and like your local brand. So you have to be modern in a way. Are you conscious about the problem that clothing brings to our world? Like that was my question. So I got a very good feedback of this local brands here in Puerto Rico. I don't know if Eric knows who Fresh Company of the clothing that is, the juvenile streetwear that in Puerto Rico we're going. So I'm very excited for that project that I'm going to try to achieve the next semester and mix up the administration department, all that, also people that do not commit with the natural science department, and see how big that event can go.
Fabiola, so a couple of years ago, ESA hosted a fashion show, and we asked our prominent scientists to wear their research. So what they were wearing represented the research that they did. And it turned out to be cool. It turned out to be super interesting. This was in Portland, Oregon, where like crazy stuff happens anyways. So that was one of the things that happened at ESA that was caught on by like local news resources and stuff. Just a cool, like, wait, ecology and fashion. Another thing is, as a chapter leader myself back in Puerto Rico, I do have some tips and tricks for you guys. So Back in the day, I'm not sure, but Walmart used to give us money for basically asking. We used to come with like a letter and they would give you like a $500 gift card so you can like buy stuff there. It's a win-win for them because they're technically giving you a donation and then you're turning it around and buying their products. I know not everyone is in agreement with the Walton family. I'm saying that publicly. But there are some other resources. So for fundraising strategies and so forth, I highly recommend that you guys do not try to reinvent the wheel yourselves and like manage on-campus activities by yourselves. Partner up with other institutions. We used to partner up with a lot of the biology organizations on campus. So whether it was general biology or pre-medicine or marine biology or even physics and chemistry, we partnered up with the sciences and we would host these events and you'd be surprised of how many, one of my best field experiences was actually going out in the field with somebody from the physics department, because all of a sudden it got really dark and we started talking about astrology and the universe. And like this guy literally pulled like a telescope from his trunk of his car and all of a sudden we're seeing the ring around Saturn. Like I'd never seen that using like a telescope. So stuff like that, like you'd be surprised of how amazing an experience can be when you partner up with other sciences. So that's also like super important. I know that that's not easy, when you're not on campus or, during the pandemic, some stuff hit us pretty hard. But other stuff for, also signing up. The other thing is you can always ask us for money. We did roll out the chapter grants, out of which we were hoping a lot more institutions participated in. We got one application. We're offering $1,000 per chapter and up to $5,000 if you partner up with other Seeds chapters. So that's a good chunk of money to organize activities. And yeah, I'm amazed to hear that you guys have been with all this, and I'm excited to be able to share this recording with the rest of the Seeds community. So awesome job.
Yeah. And I mean, if we have like a few minutes left, but I do want to, if you don't mind, sharing what have been those like learning experience, and if they don't have to be like recent, they can be like maybe older, a couple of years past, or that you said this was a total disaster. What happened and what did you learn from that? If they've all been successful, you can say that too. But
one thing that we've been experiencing recently is very low attendance. In the beginning of the semester, it was super high. We had tons of people coming in and they were all very excited about it. And then we kind of had a streak of like 3 meetings where 1 or 2 people showed up, which is very sad. But I think part of that was due to timing. So we had other events on campus by like a really, really big group that just encompasses like everything at the same time. So people were going to that. And then it was our first Zoom meeting too, where we went like fully virtual this year. And I guess people weren't super interested in that. But still not really sure like why that happened, if there was any other reason beyond just the other events going on at the same time. I think that it probably would help to do more advertising. So we have something called like Market Wednesday where clubs can go out and advertise themselves, or like other shops will be there and stuff. So something like that probably is in the works in the future for us to start doing that. But those have been our struggles lately.
So do your campuses have message boards? Like little pegboards that, along the hallway of mostly the biology departments and stuff, like, because we used to have, funny enough, for our chapter, each of these student organizations had a different board. And it was like a little competition amongst the department, like who decorated theirs the best and who was like most interesting. So it became a thing where like we would go all out for each of our boards and like create signage and constantly keep them updated and like posting little stuff here and there. Even small businesses by friends, we were in wildlife biology and There was a lot of ecotourism going on. And so, friends would start up a company and we would post it there. So like, it wasn't just about, academics or just about the Seeds chapter. The other thing is, being seen. So visiting those like first and second year courses in which students are kind of exploring into the sciences, asking the professors, hey, do you mind if I take like 5 minutes on your course on Friday? We're like, it's not the start of the week or anything like that. Just to tell us about this meeting that we're hosting, or what activities we're hosting. Also, designing activities that exposes people to ecology. A lot of, we talk about outreach. A lot of people, if you go with them with like hardcore science and be like, we're going to go measure DBH and this like plot behind it, like people are going to be like, what's going on? So like saying, hey, come and join us in exploring, life on campus besides us humans, stuff like that. Or, organizing a camping experience. Have you ever been camping? Are you interested, and exploring that as a hobby? We're leading a hike on this day. If you don't have any equipment, don't worry, just bring a good pair of tennis shoes and, we'll take care of the rest. Stuff like that, exposing people to just being in nature. A lot of the times that we find ourselves on campuses, remember, most of the human population lives in, cities. So being able to step outside is something that they're still not comfortable with. They haven't been exposed to that before. And so organizing activities like that were a huge success for our chapter. Our camping trips were like epic. Every year we would sell out. Like we would literally rent out entire campgrounds and we would sell out because people wanted to come. They heard how fun they were, kind of rowdy. But then, during the day, we're talking about unique ecosystems found, along the campgrounds, or hey, we're going to take a drive to this hike here. Or we're going to go to this beach and do a beach cleanup while we're camping at the beach, stuff like that, like really interesting activities where people not just to like geek out about science, but to introduce people to our science. And that way you can also bring, business and nursing and maybe some of the human, biology and pre-med students, which, as we know, like 80% of undergraduates in biology degrees want to be doctors. So exposing them to those opportunities and other sciences as well. As we know, they don't all become doctors.
And we don't all end up, we could study science, but we don't all end up in a lab or working on the field. So
you would have asked me back in college that I would be doing science education, I would have laughed in your face. I would have not believed it. So
okay, pre-health students, yeah. But and this leads me, and we're almost up on the hour. Some of you, I'm sure, like you're seasoned, like Seeds chapters. So I'm just curious, what suggestions would you give to a new Seeds chapter or a Seeds chapter that just started recently?
I
Come on
think
now.
I think brainstorming before starting everything, like throwing in a paper all the ideas that come through your mind. Like as a member, what stuff do you want to experience? What are good experience? What are key factors that you want to evolve, grow, develop as a professional, but also as a student or as an individual? And like throwing away in the paper all that ideas, and then with the directive discuss and hear their feedback, what ideas, new projects can create from that. I think that's a very good, that's the way I deal with it when I started the organization, just doing a very big brainstorm and then discussing it, and that way like hearing everybody's idea and saying, oh, this, we can do this month. And that's another thing, like planning the semester. Like from August, plan every month the ideas that you can do, the days, the week, and also like having in mind that you're not the only. I think that's something very important because as students, we get a lot of stress just with our classes, and very involved in other organizations, you're getting more activities, more stress, more things in your calendar. So having in mind that everybody needs a balance, and this is not the only organization that the members have. So like doing a lot, I think that's my perspective, doing a lot of activities too is a little bit chaotic for the members. So just having that balance. If we have 4 weeks with, well, maybe have 3 activities, not 2 activities every week. And that way, like, don't be charging the members. I think that's something very important also.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I think we were just like talking about having your club identity and like, what is your mission? Like, what do you want to accomplish because the weeks go by so fast for us, especially in the corner system. And I think something that I think we need to take this advice is like making events that I would personally want to attend, because like I think it can like be easy to get caught up planning on logistics and everything, but yeah, just something that like I would personally want to do, and like why I'm even interested in this in the first place. I think also something that I think our club, our chapter has done a good job is like shooting for the stars, in the sense of like not being afraid to write these really intimidating grant applications, and like knowing that like people want to hear from us undergrads and like what we're doing and what we're interested in. So I don't think it's like can be intimidating to email faculty and to like write to these big organizations on what our ideas are. So I would just encourage students to like get their hands dirty in research and ask for help from the people who want to help us.
Yes, I would also like to say, don't be afraid to reach out to other groups. Like, even if they're not like related to campus, there's tons of like, or at least around us, like somewhat related to ecology people. So there's like a fire ecology area. So we've reached out to them. Most people, when you reach out to them, are very excited to do something with you. And that's been the response we've gotten every time. Like they want to work with us and come up with some kind of event. And it's just exciting. So I would say don't be afraid to reach out and try something.
Also, never be afraid to like walk into your dean's office and ask for help or for a signature for something on campus. You know, we used to walk into the student affairs dean every other week, to the point where like he knew our names and was kind of happy to see us every time we would go into his office. But we would go in, for example, if we would get, you know, if I would get an REU, like how can my institution help me? You know, are there any stipends that they can afford? You know, if I'm traveling to Haku or whatever the other institutions were for Hispanic students in my case, you know, how can I represent my university? So we would go and like, hey, I'm a biology student. I got this trip. I'm representing the institution. Can you help? And you'd be surprised if like, you know, the university has stipends for students traveling. Swag. Just because I'm going there, cool. Yeah, wear our jacket here, take this, take that. Like little things like that. But again, establishing that relationship with the administrators of the university. You know, you're a student. Yes, you are paying to receive an education, but at the same time, they're there to provide that service to you. And it's not cheap. So things like that, you know, don't be afraid to ask, knock on the doors and, you know, go up to the big administrators and say, hi, my name is, you know, Fred Abbott. I'm a student from, in my case, wildlife biology. And, you know, we're interested in doing this activity. Is there anything on campus or anyone on campus that I should be talking to? You know, and that usually led to a lot of things happening, everything from community gardens to science days, where we would take up, you know, the big the big like theater on campus, and it was literally where people would go and present their science. And this was all undergraduate students, and we would take over the large theater for a day, and it was our science, presentation day. And that was again shared amongst all the students within the biology. So things like that. Don't be afraid to knock on those doors, and you might bug them for the first time, but a lot of people kind of get used to that.
Yeah, and I have a suggestion, and it's don't be afraid to reach out to us, to ESA. We're here. We're also an organization, not a university exclusive organization, but we're here to support you in any way possible. And we also do want to hear from you. So with that, I will send a link to that survey that is being referenced in the slide deck. To those that have not completed it, it would be great if you could. It just, it helps us know what you need from us, basically, and what you like these types of meetings to look like, and what you like to discuss, and also what are the challenges you're facing, and that will help us help you. So with that, I don't have anything else to say, but thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you especially to our panelists for taking time today to be here and share what you guys are doing, and the great suggestions, the consejos. I also shift towards English and Spanish, guys. Doesn't go away. So again, thank you. Good night.
Sandra, I wanted to say thank you
Oh.
to you for putting this event together. Thank you to all our panelists. It's interesting because we talk about leadership on campus, and yes, sometimes it can be a struggle. Oh, I have the leader hat. I'm the one that's supposed to get these signatures. I'm the one that's supposed to make this happen. In reality, it's a community. So like, share your responsibilities with the members on your campus. If you want to host an activity, delegate. It's like the best thing a leader can do. Things like that really do help, and like help you not get exhausted. Remember, we understand that you also have a full like academic load. You're completing your degree, you're learning new skills every week, and these things take time and effort. And just again, share the responsibility. You have your Seeds community here to help you out. Sandra and I are always here. Our emails are always open, and our phone lines. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We've pretty much heard it all. The other thing is we're excited about evolving. A program can't stay the same forever. Seeds has been going on for 25 years. We've had chapters for 23 out of those 25 years. So considering how, things have changed, let's talk about pandemic, stuff like that. Like we want you to stay up to date with activities, and we want to stay up to date. And we don't know that until you guys give us that information, submit those chapter reports, submit those little surveys that we put out. These are all for us to help you. So we're still brainstorming on a lot of things to come. Sandra and I are going to hit the ground running next semester with some really cool stuff for you guys. I already got approval to buy a bunch of swag. So keep in mind, we will be asking for those addresses to mail you guys some like really cool swag packages.
Spoilers.
Yeah. And then, maybe host a pizza party here or there for you guys to like enjoy. Sandra and I can also participate in those local meetings. Like it's not just at the national level. Like we'd be happy to join, your weekly meetings if you want somebody from like, hey, we have the Seeds folks from Washington, D.C., like wanting to talk to us about ecology, and not just about what the Seeds program is, but ecology careers in general. There's a lot of questions that, are kind of daunting for your undergraduate students. And then there's that like steep learning curve when you graduate and you're like, what the hell do I do now? Do I go to graduate school? What does that look like? We have experience with all of that. So if you guys have any of those questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we're always happy to help. And again, thank you, Sandra. And thank you to all the leaders of our Seeds Chapter Network. It's really exciting to get to see, even during pandemic, what you guys have been up to and how busy you've been. But we'd love to help you out with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all, folks. Thank you. Good
All right,
night.
we're gonna stop the recording.
Thank you, guys. Good night.